Ethan had been traveling the stars for years, yet nothing had prepared him for the sight he found on that desolate planet. The surface was jagged, dark rock stretching as far as the eye could see, scorched in some places and littered with debris from what looked like an old battle. His ship had barely landed when a small movement caught his eye, a flicker of color against the gray dust. He approached carefully, scanning with his handheld sensor. There, huddled between two broken pillars, was a small creature. It was about the size of a human toddler, but everything else about it was alien. Its skin glowed faintly, a soft luminescent green, and its eyes were large and golden, filled with curiosity and fear at the same time. Ethan froze, sensing the creature's panic. He had encountered alien species before, but none so fragile, so clearly defenseless. The creature looked at him, its gaze holding something he could not name. It was not fear alone, nor simple survival instinct. It seemed to reach out through some invisible thread, a call to kindness. Ethan lowered his hand, speaking softly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." Slowly the child, or whatever it was, crawled toward him. Its movements were careful, almost tentative, like it was testing if he could be trusted. Ethan extended a gloved hand, and the alien pressed its tiny fingers against it. In that moment, a wave of warmth and connection passed through him, like a silent understanding forming. "Leora," he whispered, naming her without thinking. The name felt right. Back on the ship, his crew was less than pleased. "Ethan, you can't just bring an alien aboard," Commander Rhea barked, crossing her arms. "We don't know what it carries. Could be infectious, could be dangerous." Ethan ignored her protests, focusing on the small creature clinging to his arm. "She's just a child," he said firmly. "Look at her. She's scared and alone. I can't leave her there." The crew muttered among themselves, some uneasy, others openly hostile. But Ethan's resolve did not waver. He set up a small containment area in the ship's medbay, with soft padding and basic supplies. Leora explored carefully, sniffing and touching the unfamiliar environment with wonder. She made small noises, almost musical, that seemed to express curiosity rather than fear. Ethan observed her closely. He noticed subtle signs that she could sense emotions, reacting differently when someone was tense versus calm. Days passed. The crew began to see her in a new light, though reluctance still lingered. Leora's intelligence became clear. She learned to operate simple controls, follow basic instructions, and even respond to Ethan's voice in ways that suggested more than instinct. Slowly, she began to bond with him. At night, she would crawl into his quarters and sit quietly by his bed, resting her small hand on his arm as if she understood the comfort it brought. Ethan discovered her other abilities gradually. She could sense the ship's systems and react before errors became serious. When the life support started failing one evening, she led him to the malfunction before any alarms went off. The crew began to change their tune, though none dared admit it openly. Leora was no ordinary alien. She was extraordinary yet harmless. Despite these small victories, life aboard the ship was not without tension. Supplies were limited, and the bureaucracy of human space law frowned upon adopting alien life forms. Ethan received messages from his superiors, warning him to either return Leora or face serious consequences. But he could not bring himself to comply. She had become family, and he would not abandon her to a world that had proven dangerous and cruel. Then came the attack. It was sudden and violent. A squadron of scavenger ships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons firing without warning. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring, and the crew scrambled to their stations. Ethan grabbed Leora, holding her close as he ran to the bridge. She reacted instinctively, pressing her tiny hands against the floor as if she could feel the vibrations of the approaching enemies. Ethan's heart pounded as they entered the fray. Leora suddenly released a burst of energy from her body, a soft, glowing wave that pushed back the nearest enemy ships. Everyone on board froze in awe. The attack was brief but devastating. The scavengers retreated, leaving the crew shaken but unharmed. Ethan looked down at Leora, who blinked up at him with wide golden eyes. "You saved us," he whispered. For the first time, she made a noise that sounded almost like a laugh. It was musical and soft, and it filled the room with warmth. The attack left Ethan with a deep realization. Leora was not just a child. She was a being of intelligence, courage, and moral strength. She had risked herself to protect others just as he would have done for her. The bond they shared was no longer one-sided. She had chosen him as much as he had chosen her, Over the following days, Ethan made the decision. He began the long and complicated process of adopting her officially. It required careful negotiation with human authorities, medical checks, and a review of alien protocols. But every time Leora clung to him or reacted with joy to something new, he felt a deep certainty. He could not let bureaucracy dictate what family meant. Meanwhile, Leora continued to grow and adapt. She learned human customs, her small glowing body moving with curiosity and energy. She often followed Ethan around the ship, imitating his actions and helping in ways only she could. The crew began to appreciate her more openly, seeing her not as an alien to fear but as a unique and valuable member of their team. One night, as Ethan sat in the observation deck staring at the stars, Leora climbed onto his lap. She pressed her head against his chest, a quiet warmth radiating from her. Ethan stroked her soft, glowing hair and whispered, "You're safe now, Leora. I promise you'll never be alone again." She responded with a gentle hum, a sound full of trust and affection. In that moment, Ethan felt the weight of responsibility, but also the unparalleled joy of caring for someone so pure. He knew the path ahead would be difficult. The bureaucracy, the dangers of space, the unknown elements of her species. But he was ready. Leora had chosen him and he had chosen her. Together they would face whatever came next. The story of their journey was only beginning. The galaxy was vast and threats were never far away, but Ethan no longer felt alone. He had found a family in the most unexpected of places, and the bond he shared with Leora was stronger than any fear or obstacle. As the ship sailed through the endless blackness, Ethan held Leora close, feeling her small heartbeat against his own. He whispered softly, almost to himself, "We'll make it, together." And for the first time in years, he felt true hope. The stars outside the window seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the new light within his heart. Leora had changed everything, not just his mission, but his life. She was not just an alien child. She was family, and he would protect her with everything he had. Ethan had spent weeks navigating the complicated human bureaucracy to adopt Leora officially. The process was slow and frustrating, with forms, approvals, and medical checks that seemed endless. Yet every time he looked at her glowing eyes or heard her soft hum of contentment, he knew it was worth it. Leora had transformed his life completely. She was no longer just a rescued child. She was family, and nothing else mattered. One evening, while the ship drifted through a quiet sector of space, Leora sat near the observation window, her small form glowing softly in the dim light. She watched the stars pass by, occasionally making tiny noises, almost as if she was singing to herself. Ethan leaned beside her, running a hand through her shimmering hair. "You've changed my life, Leora," he said quietly. "I never thought I could care for someone like this." She turned to him, her golden eyes meeting his, and for the first time, she seemed to understand the depth of what he meant. She pressed her small hand against his arm, a simple gesture yet full of meaning. In that silent moment, Ethan realized that her intelligence and emotional depth went beyond anything humans had ever expected from other species. The calm was broken one night when the ship's sensors detected a presence nearby. It wasn't hostile at first, just a signal, a faint rhythmic pulse like a heartbeat. Leora's body stiffened immediately. She pressed herself against Ethan, her glowing form flickering with agitation. "Someone close," she whispered. Not in words, but in the subtle telepathic pulse Ethan was beginning to understand. Ethan's heart raced. "Who is it, Leora? Another scavenger ship?" She shook her small head. The feeling was different. It was familiar, not dangerous, yet hesitant. She pressed her hand against his chest as if asking for his calm and reassurance. Ethan guided her to the bridge, and together they followed the signal. It led them to the outer rim of a nearby nebula, where a small, sleek ship floated silently. From the ship, a figure emerged, an alien female, graceful and glowing softly, with eyes that mirrored Leora's. She watched Ethan and Leora with a mixture of caution and hope. Ethan's breath caught. The resemblance was unmistakable. She was Leora's mother. Leora's tiny body stiffened, then she ran forward, her luminescent hands reaching toward the woman. The mother knelt, opening her arms, and Leora leapt into them. The reunion was quiet, yet it was full of emotion. Tears, or their alien equivalent, shimmered in the mother's eyes as she held her child. Ethan watched silently, unsure how to intervene. The mother looked up at him then, her gaze softening. She communicated through thought, her voice gentle in his mind. You have cared for her, better than I could have hoped. She's safe with you. Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. She's my family now. I couldn't leave her alone out there. The mother studied him, sensing his sincerity and compassion. Slowly, she stepped closer. Her presence was calming, almost like Leora's energy, yet different, more mature, more measured. Then, may I stay with you too? She asked, the words soft and vulnerable, yet full of hope. Ethan felt the weight of her question. It was more than a simple request. It was a test of trust, a moral decision that could change all their lives. He looked at Leora, who was watching them intently, her small form glowing brighter as if urging him to accept. He nodded slowly. Yes, you can stay. The mother's face softened into a gentle smile, and she joined their small family aboard the ship. The crew, initially wary, began to see the bond between the three. The mother's intelligence and calm presence proved invaluable. She helped Leora adapt to human culture, taught her new skills, and even assisted in maintaining the ship's systems. Her telepathic abilities, combined with Leora's natural talents, made the vessel almost flawless in its operations. As days turned into weeks, the family found a rhythm. Ethan, once a lone explorer, now had companions who understood him and supported him. Leora's mother, whom he learned was named Solara, shared stories of her species, teaching them about resilience, empathy, and the power of emotional connection. She showed them that their culture valued trust, loyalty, and care above all else, principles Ethan recognized in himself. Conflict arose only once, when a group of human traders arrived, suspicious of Leora and Solara. They demanded proof that the aliens were harmless, their voices sharp and accusatory. Ethan stepped forward, his chest swelling with quiet authority. They are family. You will respect that. They have saved this ship more times than you can count. You will not threaten them. The traders hesitated, sensing the strength and sincerity in Ethan's words. Leora's subtle pulse of energy rippled across the deck, just enough to create unease without harm. Solara stepped beside Ethan, radiating calm confidence. Finally, the traders backed down, leaving with murmurs of unease and admiration. The crew, witnessing the exchange, began to respect and trust the human-alien family even more. Life aboard the ship settled into a new normal. Ethan taught Leora and Solara about human ways, cooking, music, simple games. In return, they taught him their abilities and knowledge, expanding his understanding of the universe. Nights were often spent in the observation deck, all three watching the stars, sharing thoughts, and feeling connected in a way Ethan had never imagined possible. Ethan realized that the bond he shared with Leora and Solara went beyond species, beyond language, beyond even culture. It was a bond of empathy, care, and mutual respect. They had chosen each other not out of obligation, but because of the understanding that family was more than blood. It was trust, love, and protection. One evening, as the ship passed near a cluster of bright stars, Leora climbed onto Ethan's lap, resting her glowing head against his chest. Solara sat beside them, her hand resting gently on his shoulder. Ethan felt a profound sense of peace. We've made it this far, he whispered. Together we can face whatever comes next. Leora hummed softly, a sound of agreement and joy. Solara's presence radiated warmth, a silent acknowledgement that they were united. A family forged in the stars. Ethan realized that the galaxy was vast and often unforgiving, but with Leora and Solara by his side, he was ready for anything. Days later, they discovered an abandoned research outpost on a distant moon. It contained data about other alien species, their cultures and histories, information that could be dangerous in the wrong hands. Ethan, Leora, and Solara worked together, analyzing and protecting the knowledge. Leora's abilities and Solara's intelligence made them a perfect team, and Ethan's human ingenuity guided their decisions. Through these adventures, the bond between them deepened. Leora became more confident, exploring her abilities while learning to trust humans fully. Solara adapted to life among humans, blending her culture with Ethan's world, creating a unique harmony aboard the ship. Ethan, once alone and cautious, found joy, purpose, and family in ways he had never expected. The story ends with the three of them standing on the observation deck, watching a supernova light up the cosmos. Ethan held Leora in one arm while Solara stood beside him, her hand on his chest. The stars sparkled as if celebrating their unity. Ethan whispered, "No matter what happens, we're together now. Nothing can change that." Leora's soft hum echoed in agreement, and Silara's warm gaze conveyed the same truth. They were a family not by chance, but by choice. In a universe full of danger, unknowns, and uncertainty, they had found safety, trust, and love in each other. Humanity had once again proven its strength, not through weapons or conquest, but through empathy, courage, and the willingness to care for others, no matter how different. The ship sailed onward into the endless expanse, carrying a human, an alien child, and her mother, bound not by species, but by the unbreakable ties of family, hope, and trust. And in that vast, infinite galaxy, they knew they would face whatever came next, together.